Okay, I'll try to explain a little bit about it. It's not a portrait of Ross's uncle, it's a portrait of the book. So, as it evolved, things changed, things move around. This figure of his uncle is done in sepia as if it was a World War II photograph. But his uncle is of the past. That's why this is the current where we are now. That plane of the background is where we are now. Because he's gone a long time in the past, he's a memory. That's why he's diffused. And the lighting with the cloudy, gauzy thing is to make it look softer, more of a memory. All these buttons, these wings, the medals are actual World War II uniform, mil-spec items. On his hat, can't believe what I had to do to find that. It's an actual World War II Army Air Corps insignia. Okay. So that's taken from a photograph of his uncle. Starting from the top, the background of this I did not intend for it to be this big originally. I have an artist friend, a very famous artist friend in New Hampshire, but he's nationally known. He's not on our same team politically. But I had done this in pencil, as a pencil underdrawing first. I took it to him so he could critique it. And he critiqued it. He's a friend of George Stephanopoulos. So you know where he is politically. And I was telling him that I constructed this box and I wanted to have the flag as it's folded in a military funeral with the same arrangement of stars as a 48-star flag, not a 50-star flag. That was my attempt to be really, really accurate. Everything on this thing is real. I tried my best to make it absolutely as accurate to history as I could. So I wanted that to be a 48-star arrangement. I said, I've been looking for a 48-star flag, I can't find one. So my friend, name is Don Journey, he was sitting in a chair, like a lounge chair, with a desk next to him. He didn't even move his body. He reached like this, pulls out a flag, and he hands it to me and says, like this? This is the flag that he gave me. It's a 1944 burial flag from a military, it's a casket flag from a military funeral in Baltimore. It's the actual flag of a casket, and he handed it to me. And that's when I knew that was going to be the backdrop for the whole painting. It's 94 inches high and 59 inches wide. That's why this thing is 9.5 feet high and 5 feet wide. I painted what I did was, I bonded it to the background, to the structure, and I didn't intend this originally, but I painted those war clouds ahead. I painted a B-17, and it's three-dimensional. And just a couple of weeks ago, I was painting the bomb. I painted the flak, and I was going to paint the bombs on it, but I can't paint the bombs, so I actually carved the bombs, and they're falling from the bomb bay of the B-17. And as it comes down the side, here's the explosions, okay? So that's your uncle's B-17. This is the 8th Air Force emblem, gold leaf. It's broken. And then at one point, I thought, well, how am I going to treat this background? I had the book. You can read the book by reading this background. So I took out elements of the book, I glued them to the background and glazed them all over. But all these elements and photographs are from the book. They all pertain to certain things mentioned in the book. So then we come down. I'm not real pleased with this, but it's working for him. But this is, recognize him? It's just an underdrawing. I've tried and tried. I've got to glaze it to finish it. This is the book he wrote. He's holding it over his heart. He's holding it over his heart. His left hand is holding what? The Bible. What's this? What's that? That's his halo, my angel. Come down, this is Roz, his cousin, who was born a month after her father was killed. And she's holding, remember the B-17 I had you get? George paid for that B-17, $125.
I'll send you the bill, Russ.
So this, I'm very pleased with Roz's face. I am very pleased with that. But originally, it was only going to be one plane. But I started doing it three-dimensionally. So all of this is all three dimensions. And there's pictures of his mother and father. And the expression, wearing it on your sleeve, that's you. She's wearing you on her sleeve. Her hair is actual rope, but it's all multi-layered, carved. I never did fingers and hands before, but for you I did them. And this is the dress she's wearing. She's sitting on her father's footlocker. It's mentioned in the book. On top of the footlocker, Don Journey gave me that flag. He also had a sewing kit for World War II. It's never been opened. That's an actual military sewing kit for World War II. When I built this, these latches, the lock and the latches, are actual mil-spec World War II out of an unopened box, new old stock, military latches. In the book, he talks about smoking. At one point, he wanted to smoke, or tried smoking, but he spent some time, he didn't really like smoking because of the implication to his health and his family. His mother didn't like him smoking. When I went to Vietnam, I bought a pack of Lucky Strike cigarettes. If you remember Lucky Strike cigarettes, it's a target. And on my chicken plate that we wore on our chest, his pockets, I put that pack of cigarettes right here over my heart. It's a target. If you're gonna shoot me here. So I figured, well, and he's talking about cigarettes, try to find a pack of Lucky Strike cigarettes. They've changed the package. Well, now what am I gonna do? I walk 3 miles a day around a block. There's packages of cigarettes everywhere. I'm walking on a block after that. I went to the store, the package is totally different. Well, what am I gonna do? There was none in the bushes, none on the side of the road. I get home, I go on my iPad, I go to SB or X something, and I punch in 1944 Lucky Strike cigarette package. I hit the search thing. Instantaneously, this picture comes up of a pack of Lucky Strike cigarettes that was destroyed. It was dead flat. $60 later, it was on its way home. I had to put the whole thing back together again, but it didn't have a cellophane around it. So I had to go to the store and buy a pack of Lucky Strikes regular cigarettes for $12. A pack of cigarettes for the cellophane to go around it. But that's an actual pack of Lucky Strike cigarettes from 1944. The ashtray next to it is a glass ashtray during the war. And that's the kind of ashtray they had. He may have had on his footlocker while he smoked.
Let me add one thing to that.
Yeah.
In 1951, my father
Told me that if I wouldn't smoke until I was 21, he would buy me every cigarette I could smoke for the rest of my life, and he would buy every beer I could drink for the rest of my life if I would wait till I was 21. I went to him at 21 and said, I've never done either. And he said, I will live up to my end of the bargain. I said, I don't think you'll have to. And on his dying bed, the last thing I told him was that I never had done either one. I still haven't.
So I'm gonna put things didn't work out the way I really wanted them to. It was my plan today to find somebody that smoked, to get a cigarette and smoke 1/3 of it, put the ashes, this is gonna happen. I'll put 27 years of ashes in here, and the rest of the cigarette will represent his unlived life, sitting in the groove in the ashtray. That will represent the life he didn't live. And that this part that was smoked, because he was smoked at 27. Okay, so this is exactly as described in the book, with the letters stenciled on the front. 2 years ago, my high school called up, they're gonna put up a veterans wall. They needed my permission to put my name on the veterans wall. And I gave them permission as long as my son Tyson, my brother Newell, were on the wall at the high school, the veterans wall. The dedication was November 17th, 2024. I called up, in the summer or whatnot, I called up Liberty Warbirds has restored a helicopter in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And I've had the occasion to fly it. So, I called the Alumni Association before the dedication a couple of weeks, and I said, how would you like it if I flew an Army helicopter to the dedication and landed it on second base of the ball field and back at the high school that I graduated from? And they said they liked that just fine. So thanks to that tall guy right there, $7,500 later,
I'm just a bank in these deals.
$7,500 later, I flew a helicopter. It's the same helicopter I flew in Vietnam. It's the actual helicopter that I flew in Vietnam. I landed it on second base of the high school ball field I played shortstop on for 4 years of the high school ball team. The actual helicopter. While I flew that helicopter, I was wearing the boots that your uncle wore when he was in the B-17. His uncle talks about going to London, he wanted to get a pair of RAF flying boots. So I went on that eBay thing and punched in RAF flying boots, and for $165 a pair, I got RAF flying boots. I wore those flying boots when I, as an Army aviator in the Army Air Corps, flew the same helicopter that I flew in Vietnam wearing these boots. So these boots were worn by an Army aviator flying an Army aircraft 2 years ago. Those are the boots that I wore. When I landed the helicopter, I got out of the helicopter and took them off. I haven't worn them since. So these boots have flown an Army Air Corps helicopter by an Army Air Corps pilot. And those are the boots. And then he had told me that his uncle was disinterred or whatever from Germany. He was relocated to Knoxville, Tennessee in 1948. And he was telling me about it, that his uncle was now in Knoxville, and I think he may have showed me a picture of the marker. And when he told me that, that's when I knew I had to go to Knoxville and make a rubbing of his uncle's headstone, so to speak. So last year, I left Candy, New Hampshire in my war wagon, and I drove 2.5 days to Knoxville, Tennessee, met you and your uncle, you met your dad and your uncle. We spent a day in Knoxville. I had been there the day before with the book, and I had gone to all the locations that I could in the book. You and your brother came up, they came up the next day from Atlanta. We spent a day together driving that book around. We went to the train station, we went everywhere in the book. This high school, went to just everywhere. At the end of the day, they went back to Atlanta. I spent 10 minutes making a rubbing. After I made the rubbing, I came over here to see the museum again, and I went home. And then I had the rubbing, it was taken, that's not the actual rubbing. I had an archival print made of the actual rubbing. The 12 inches by 24 inches, the actual marker of your uncle. Oh, and this has to be totally redone, but this is Ross when he's 4 years old in that picture saluting his uncle. So I'm not real happy with it, so I'm going to kind of change that whole thing around. But there's some other elements I'm gonna change, but I'm gonna finish this thing up, tune it up. This has to be the best thing I have ever or will ever do. Because of you, your family, your story, your uncle, and this museum.
One of my favorite paintings, one of my favorite photographs ever was me saluting him on the front lawn of the house where he lived before he went 2 days later on an airplane to England, and he died from that. That was the last photograph I ever had made of him, of me saluting him exactly like that.
And then she's sitting on the stairs of the house. I stood in the street, I read the book. I looked at the house with the door that the two officers had knocked on to tell her that her husband was lost. I'm standing there in the street looking at the actual door, the actual building, and you come out on the sidewalk, and there's some steps. And those are the steps that she's sitting on when she had her picture taken, that she's now sitting on. And those steps are still there. That house is still original. And we went to see it. We went to all the different locations. So this is not just a painting or a piece of art. I don't know how to describe it. The significance for me, you know, George, my kids, my family, my friends. This is who I am for you.